Here on this channel, we bring you a lot of differentiating opinions because I don't want you to hear just from me. I want you to hear from the authoritative figures, the guys who have played this game at the highest level, the guys who are on my wall. I want you to hear from them and hear what they have to say about these situations with the San Francisco 49ers. And of course, I'm going to give you my take as well, which is why I'm going to let you listen to Steve Young, one of the highest authoritative figures on this channel. We talk about Steve Young all the time. We have his opinion at the top of the mountain when it comes to actually trying to listen and take actual information from someone who understands the quarterback position at its highest level. So Steve Young joined the Rich Eisen show to give his take on Brock Purdy, this game against the Packers, and kind of his takeaway, if he's concerned or how just basically how he's perceiving this game against the Packers and some of the issues that Brock Purdy had in this game. So as we do, we're going to listen and then we are going to react on the other side.
So where do you place Brock Purdy in this conversation?
Well, there is the anomaly of somebody who is so incredibly efficient. And the efficiency mavens, that's the wrong word, but the efficiency aficionados
yes.
Are still in the game. They still have a place, but they need a lot of help around them to be able to kind of go up against those guys. And so I think that Brock, I would put Kirk Cousins. I would put there's the efficiency kind of aficionados that are Brock is amazing what he's accomplished this year, and he's going to I don't know. I mean, next week's a big game, obviously against the Lions, but getting into the Super Bowl in this era with those guys, with how he plays the game, is I tip my cap to him. I mean, there's some of the stats. What he was able to do from an efficiency perspective. You might be able to make the case that there hasn't been a more efficient quarterback in the history of the game, in how he played this year. For example, one of the stats that just was the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life is that the 49ers lead the league in yards per attempt if you just took the passes from the line of scrimmage or behind. Rich.
Yeah.
Those are 100% completion percentage, almost.
Yeah.
With zero risk or with very low risk, you're leading the league in yards per attempt against everybody else in the league. And that just goes to show the innovation. What we haven't talked about is the innovation that that there are maybe, I'm going to say under 10 of the innovative minds that are out there calling plays and coming up with new ways to attack these open spaces in the NFL that have showed up maybe 5 or 6 years ago with the rule changes. And one of them, the most amazing innovative minds is Kyle Shanahan.
Well, I mean, in that respect, though, Steve, I mean, the end of the first half was a head scratcher with what they were doing with the play clock. It honestly looked like they were trying to play for a long field goal that was going to get blocked. I mean, it was one of those horror movies where you could sort of see it coming with your hands over your face. And then Purdy, he did turn it on in that last drive. There's no question about it.
What happened? He became Mr. Efficient. The ball came out. They made the completions. They made the plays. He did everything that you would want a Super Bowl quarterback to do in the key moments. And he's young. It's amazing. There's going to be a movie about him. There's going to have to be a movie about him at some point. And I've interviewed him and know him, and he's just a fascinating human being. And again, I think he's one of the best in the league, and he does it in his own Brock Purdy way. And I've said for over a year, let Brock cook. Like, give him a play, let him figure it out, and he will figure it out. He's got a special mind that can figure stuff out.
So you don't come out of that game against the Packers concerned at all? This has nothing to do with Debo's. Has nothing to do with Debo's health.
Because there were so many passes that you're like, what? Like, it was a confusing watch, and it was an unnerving watch, because of the first time you thought, well, wait, hold on. I thought I thought he was Superman in his own way. And all of a sudden, there's just weird stuff happening. Balls coming out that they weren't even close. And then you got thinking about, he's wiping his hand as he's dropping back. Like, is there a rain thing? Is there because we're getting him. We don't know him. And is there somehow wet ball? Some guy just look. There's guys I play with just didn't like the wet ball. And who loves it? Nobody. But then you got thinking, well, is that the kryptonite? And then then also just they've been off for 3 weeks. I mean, Brock had not played in 21 days. That's an eternity. That's a hard restart for a quarterback, I believe, to be gone off of that competitive edge that you have to have week to week. So anyway, there's a lot of things to try to explain it, but it was unnerving, and the 49ers were beat. I think they sensed it. There's a huge size. I don't know how you can make huge bigger than huge, but like a massive, huge, enormous nuclear sigh of relief that happened when they got that last drive done. Because if that would have ended right there with that talent and all the people they put together, that would have been somewhat criminal.
Honestly, listening to Steve Young, it's really hard to disagree with anything he says. Even yesterday, I made a video making my honest assessment of Brock Purdy's game against the Packers. Me and Steve eerily have almost the same take when it came to Brock Purdy's struggle with rain. We literally even described it the same way as kryptonite. There is definitely an issue that Brock has with a wet football, and we have trends. We have enough sample size to understand this now. So it's just going to be something that we have to keep in mind moving forward. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world, but it's just something that, hey, the rain's on the schedule. All right. We know it's going to be, up and down. We'll see how Brock is able to fare, but we understand it's a challenge. So I obviously agree with Steve Young's take. We have the same exact take on that situation. But I think when you listen to Steve talk, I think we understand how Steve, at least I understand how Steve kind of quantifies uh, Brock Purdy, because I believe Steve Young, and based on other interviews, based on hearing him talk about Lamar, talk about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, Steve Young was in that tier, right? He was a running quarterback before it was something that was desired. And he was one of those off platform guys, kind of, make things shake outside of structure as well within structure. And back then, that wasn't desired. You wanted guys to play from within the pocket, which is he kind of talked about. And he's talked about for a long time how everything has shifted towards his type of quarterback play and the other quarterbacks like I named. And so when he talks about Brock, he talks about Brock from an efficiency standpoint. Brock is a very efficient quarterback. He's very smart. He's very careful with the football, and he's able to manipulate defenses with his eyes. Brock is never going to be one of those guys. He will Brock. See, I think that's part of the hard thing that people really have a hard time with of trying to quantify Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy can win 18 Super Bowls. He will never be in the category of Mahomes, Allen, Lamar from a play style comparison. And I think people have a really hard time differentiating play style versus being a good quarterback. You can be a good quarterback by being able to operate within the pocket, within structure, throwing with anticipation, being smart, efficient, and effective. And you can win a crazy amount of Super Bowls doing that. I mean, look at Tom Brady. Look at Tom Brady's never going to be like, and that's my point. Tom Brady is considered the GOAT, but Tom Brady will never, ever, ever be put in the class of Mahomes, Bills, Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson because they don't have similar play styles. They're completely different. So doesn't mean they can't be good in their own different ways, but this is really the problem that people have with Brock is like we look at Mahomes and those guys as the new standard. But I just don't I don't think people are going to ever really look at Brock like that until he just wins multiple rings. He does it without anyone. It's just going to be what it is. So, I don't necessarily disagree. I don't think there was one thing that I really disagreed with in regards to Steve Young's take on the game, Steve Young's take on Brock Purdy. I think he's spot on. I think we were all nervous. I think we were all scared. I think we all believed that the team was beat at one point. And they Brock Purdy led an efficient, effective, and clutch drive at the end, and that won them the game. And then you had the big, strong Jordan Love in that Mahomes tier, or like from a play style perspective, make the crucial mistake at the end of the game. So this is why this conversation will be ongoing. It's not going to end, because people believe that the only way you can be a elite quarterback, a very, very good quarterback, is if you have elite physical tools and traits. It's not the only way you can do it. Brock Purdy is kind of proving that. But again, we understand what it is. The NFL has evolved and they've gone towards that style of quarterback. So Brock's kind of an old school throwback who does it from the pocket. Kurt Warner even talked about it on Twitter earlier today, I believe. So it is what it is, man. He fits what the 49ers need to do and want to do. So he should have success moving forward. But let me know what you guys thought about what Steve Young had to say on the Rich Eisen show. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.